Thanks so much for joining us. We're here today at City Hall in the city of Rancho Palos Verdes, where we're going to take you through the process of getting a permit. Now, you may be looking to add on a room to your home or something even smaller. We're going to take you through step by step. Now, we're going to start with my set of plans for a small bedroom addition to a home. And this is the planning department. It's our first step in the process where the plans will actually be taken, they'll be reviewed, and then they'll let me know if there's any corrections to be made. Now, many times an architect will do this part of the process for you, but we're going to take you through and see what happens next.
Planning is the first step in the development process for a residence. Typically, it's a two-step process in the community development department, and the first step is planning, and the second step is building and safety. And what we like to stress to the public is, before you commence on doing any design or go through the expense of preparing plans, that you consult with the planning department first to find out what the requirements are for your particular property, specifically in terms of what the height restrictions may be, the setback requirements, the lot coverage requirements. Find that information out first from the city, the planning department, then go back and consult with your architect, and then develop the plans to submit to the city for our review.
Now, do architects usually know what the requirements are, or do they not know for all areas?
Generally speaking, it's better not to assume you know those rights, to actually consult with us. You can get that information by either calling us here at City Hall or coming in. We're open Monday through Friday, or you can check the city's website to get some general information. But it's always safe to go back or to come in and meet with us first before designing any plans, because it could be costly and you'd hate to be told to have to revise things because you didn't get the information up front.
Now, just so people know, how many times, or is it commonplace that people have to, you make revisions or corrections in people's plans? Is that common?
It really depends on the project that's being proposed. Typically for a minor project, we don't find the cases where we have to make corrections. So the plans are typically approved over the counter, and minor projects involve like air conditioning units or skylights and things of that nature. More detailed or more complex projects that involve a substantial addition to a house or a tear down rebuild, the corrections are not uncommon. So you may get a set of corrections just to make sure the plans meet all the city's code requirements. And sometimes there are concerns that come through the public review process that need to be addressed in the plans. There may be information that's missing, or a redesign may be factored in as part of the public response to their concerns. So it really depends on the scope of the project.
Okay, now from your process, how long does that usually take from the time that the plans are submitted to you until we can go to building and safety?
For minor projects, over the counter, you come in, we can review it in relation to the code requirements and get you into the building and safety stage. For more complex projects or major projects, something that's being reviewed that qualifies for a director review probably could be reviewed and with a decision in approximately 4 months. Projects that involve a public hearing where it's going before the planning commission or the city council, that can take roughly 9 months.
Okay, so come in, get the information first, then go ahead with the plans, have them checked out, and then we'll move over to building and safety.
Exactly. The two-step process, start with planning, move on to step 2, which is building and safety. And I guess step 3 would be pulling your permits and starting construction.
We are now here at Building and Safety, and we're going to find out about all the different kinds of permits that there are and what comes next with my set of plans.
Okay, you've already gotten your planning approval, and
Right.
you've already had your geology site visit, and the approval has been gotten for geology.
Okay.
At this point, you would submit 2 sets of plans to us, along with 2 sets of structural calculations.
Okay.
They need to be wet signed and stamped by the engineer and architect.
Okay.
Okay. At that point, then, we would have you fill out an application.
All right, and I can get that. You give this to everybody at the counter, is that
This
right?
is given at the counter,
Okay.
yes. There's an application process. There's several forms to fill out.
Great.
There's one here that needs to be signed by the homeowner. Now, oftentimes the architect comes in to submit the plans.
Okay.
In that case, he would just take this with him and bring it back to us at some further point in the process.
All right.
And once those are filled out, we would take the plans in. They would be plan checked by our plan checker. On the first submittal, the plan check, we're allowed 10 business days
Okay.
to get it processed. and oftentimes there are corrections that are required.
All right.
We will inform the applicant that there are corrections that are needed, and the applicant will come in, pick up the plans, take them back to the architect or engineer. The corrections will be taken care of, and then resubmit it to our department.
Okay.
At that point, we have 5 business days to do the plan check of the resubmittal and get back to the applicant again. Oftentimes, it's ready to go at that point. Occasionally, a third resubmittal is required, and again, we have 5 business days to do the plan check on that.
Well, I'm the lucky guy that gets to go through your plans to make sure that it meets the latest safety requirements of the building code.
Okay.
So as part of that, I'm going to start kind of like from the ground up to the top.
All right.
With the geology requirements, I'll confirm that your project has incorporated the requirements of the soils report, if there is one required or not.
Okay.
And if there's not, regardless of that, I will make sure that you have the proper amount of reinforcing steel within your foundation, as well as their slab. If you have a construction of a slab,
All right.
I'll make sure that that is also reinforced according to the requirements for our geological conditions.
Perfect. And then how long does this process usually take?
This process takes a maximum of 10 business days.
Okay.
We're usually done a little bit quicker than that, but upon your first submittal, you get 10 business days or less that will be done with your project, and any subsequent submittals will be done within 5 days or less.
Great. And then after that happens, then I get the plans back. Is that correct?
Yes, you'll be given the plans back. We'll call you up and say we're done with the plans, and you'll come down and pick them up, and at which point it'll be up to you to get the corrections addressed and then resubmit them back to us.
Okay. When does the paying for the permit, when does that happen in the process?
Upon approval of the plans,
Okay.
we will say you're ready to go, ready to get your permit issued. And when you're ready to go, you come on in and you can get your permit by just paying the remaining permit fees. The cost is really based on square foot for a project like yours for an addition. So there's a square foot factor assigned for the project, and that's how it's decided how much the permit fees will be.
Great. All right. Now let's talk about the different kinds of permits that there are, because I know that room additions, they can be big, small. What are some of the different kinds of things that people do that requires a permit?
They'll remodel their bathroom, they'll remodel their kitchen, they'll reinforce their house to accommodate an earthquake.
Okay.
They will put a new roof on, they'll change out their furnace, they'll want a bigger electrical panel because they're anticipating putting in a pool or an air conditioner or something like that. That's just a few of the types of permits that we issue.
Now, once I'm starting my project, how long do I have to finish it?
You have 18 months.
Okay.
From the beginning of when the permit is issued to complete, with the ability to ask for an extension.
All right.
An extension can be granted for up to 6 additional months, so you could technically have up to 2 years to finish your project. If it's a real big project, which yours isn't quite that big,
yeah,
we do have a larger, lengthier time frames to accommodate those larger projects.
And throughout the process, how many times can I expect an inspector to come out and make sure we're all on the same page?
I can't see how many times, but you're going to be basically calling the inspector out to check things as the building progresses.
Okay.
In other words, from the foundation up to the final certificate of occupancy. So off the top of my head, I'm going to say a foundation inspection, a roofing inspection, a framing inspection, the electrical, the plumbing, and the heating will be checked by us, and then we'll check the wall coverings, both inside and out, the waterproofing, insulation, and then all the way up to the final inspection. Now there's a job card that's going to be given to you along with your permit, and that will help you to understand what inspections you need and the order and the sequence at which they're done.
Now, in addition to building permits, there is something called an over-the-counter permit for much smaller jobs. You can come right down here to City Hall to obtain them.
We have a typical list that we hand out for the public, and it's also available on our city's website.
Great.
It's for bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, changing out or upgrading your electrical panels or boxes, solar system installations, for pool equipment upgrades or changing out your pool equipment, re-roofs, which is a really common one, to remove and replace your existing roof with a new one.
Okay.
Also heating and air conditioning installations. Those are all can be obtained over the counter. as permits with no plans required.
How much can somebody expect to pay for something like that?
Well, all the prices are based on the scope of your project.
Okay.
And for, say, an electrical permit, that's a one utility item permit. So that's a flat fee of $92.
Great.
And the fee schedule is available on the city's website as well. So if you're patching your roof, you're not charged for the whole roof. And typically the fees for a re-roof permit are typically about 10% of what your roof size is. So if you have a 2,500 square foot roof, your fees are typically about $250 for the inspection fee, as well as the issuance fees, and all the state taxes are included.
Something else I was wondering is when you're getting an over-the-counter permit, do you have to fill anything out to file with the city afterward, or how does that work?
You just fill out a permit application form.
Okay.
And in the project description is where you are telling us in layman's terms simply as to what it is that you're proposing to do.
Perfect.
And you can obtain the permit application online as well. The process takes about 20 minutes typically for an over-the-counter permit. It's not very long at all.
And remember, if you're looking for a permit and you want more information ahead of time before you come down to City Hall, you can always go to the city's new website at palaceverdes.com/RPV. I'm Maria Sorreo. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.